Hello, hello, and welcome to Audrey's World. This is my world where I like to bring guests on and we daydream a little bit. I love to hear what's going on in their brains, love to know what their ideal state is or what maybe they're looking forward to, what they wish we had, what things could be different, or what cool inventions or things that they've just been thinking of behind the scenes. It's so fascinating to me to learn people's ideal state and to hear these things. So, I have a whole podcast about it. And if you like hearing anything about that too, then you are in the right spot. It's fun to play pretend sometimes. It's fun to just dream things up, not really be realistic, to not have any bounds and just see what could happen, see what you could daydream up. And we need a break from reality sometimes. So this is how I do it. So what? Is it the healthiest? I don't know. Bringing in other people, is that great? I don't know. Ignorance is bliss, and I'm riding that wave a little bit longer. So it's what I do. It's fun, and let your imagination go. As adults, we don't always get to do that, or we don't flex that muscle as much. So I'm just inviting us to be creative again in a different way. That's how I like to see it. So this weekend, I was at Lake Weekend with some friends. We do this every year, and it is so fun. It's one of my absolute favorite weekends that I look forward to every year. And at one point, we were sitting outside at a picnic table. Those little fans that they just sit on a table if you're outside. They just spin around to get the flies and get them out of the way of your food. So we had those on the table, and the guys that I was hanging out with, they were trying to clip the fan with their fingers and just try to get it right away. And they were taking a few tries. They would be successful here and there. But they were doing it for a few minutes. So of course I was like, okay, boys, wrap it up. Hand it over here. Let's see what I can do. And being very dramatic. And I will say a little confident, which is a glimpse into today's episode. I said I was looking to someone else or looking to the table and not really looking at the fan. It's going, it's spinning, it's right in front of me. It's in front of my left hand, which I also think is good to know because I'm right-handed. And I just very dramatically and again, very confidently said, it's just Audrey's world and you're living in it. And I, boom, hit down and I got it right away. I got the fan first try. All the boys were in awe, in shock. I got out of my seat, was jumping up and down. I was just so impressed with myself. Literally did not even think that was not in the realm of possibilities of anything that could happen. So, LOL, thought that was the funniest thing. And who knows, maybe just bring that little added confidence and go into it with no expectations, and maybe sometimes have that flair of dramatics and just see what happens for you. It's a great segue into the episode today. Everyone, your prayers have been answered. My mom is on the podcast today. So yes, it is Pam's World. You get to meet my mom. I know you've met her before if you listen to Sylvia's World, but now we have an episode fully dedicated to her. I learned a few things. Maybe if you know her, you'll learn a few things. And I think you'll really enjoy the episode today for a lot of reasons. I know I really enjoyed it. So I literally couldn't even be here without this woman. Uh, she's a sunrise lover, a non-coffee drinking working mom, creative yet smart and forward-thinking person, driven, confident, and she's also my mom. It's Pam Oyer. I feel like I look like my 6th grade self today with the curly, scrunchy hair and then some straight bangs. I'm maybe rethinking my hair decision
Oh,
today.
I think it looks fine. It looks cute.
It just feels like very 6th grade Audrey, and I think that's why I'm
Your hair wasn't that long.
weird about
I
it.
don't think your hair was that long in 6th grade.
Yeah, it wasn't this long probably, but
Ah,
Mom, you're clearly my mom. So I thought it would be fun this episode to do something a little different and hear about your dreams when you were little, what you thought you'd be doing versus when you were 20 versus now, and just taking this opportunity to learn more about the person behind my mom and not just talking to my mom. So what do you think about that?
um, That's fine. You know me,
Are
I
you
don't
down?
I'm not a big dreamer. So, like I am like
How
the most realist in the world, but I'll try.
You'll do your best?
Yeah. Yeah.
Alright. Well, okay, so growing up, you were the youngest of 12, so 12 of 12. Your parents were busy, there were 11 other kids to feed, to take care of, and figure out, and you grew up in a rural area, so what was growing up like? Kinda set the scene for us a little bit.
Okay. You know what's weird? As you just said, like, yeah, youngest of 12, busy parents. I It never really felt like like chaos at our house, which as I say it right now, like, how could it not? I mean, now keep in mind, my oldest brother, Dave, was married before I was born. So, or like he got married when my mom was, I don't know, 8 months, 7 months pregnant with me. So,
Mhm,
imagine that. Um, and then the older siblings, then, Dorothy and Judy and Denny, they were in college. So, let's say the most of us, at any point in time when, at least when I recall, there was probably 7 of us at home,
mhm,
not 12. So,
yeah,
but yeah, I grew up on a farm, so I think that's also part of like that the lifestyle of being on a farm is kind of naturally a little bit slower, I guess. And mom, I mean, I guess she had it together. Like we had chores but yet they did feel like chores. There's no getting around that. But we just did what we knew we were expected to do around the house, whether it's helping. And we spent a lot of time like in the garden, like in the summertime in the
mhm,
garden. So you can imagine, you know, feeding literally a
mhm,
family of, 8 or 10 people. A lot of it was meat, and like we raised steers, and so we always had beef and in the freezer, and then vegetables and such from the garden. So,
mhm, yeah. I guess I'm hearing you say that, and I feel like you did the same in some ways of like, we just knew what we kinda had to do
mhm.
expectation-wise, and I feel like grandma, yeah, she definitely, like, you knew what she was expecting, and it was kind of like the highest expect not the
Yeah.
highest, but, like, that sort of thing, but then I'm like, I can't imagine grandma, like, yelling at you or
Yeah.
anything, so what was
Yeah.
how did she set those expectations? Was it kind of through raising her voice? Did she raise her voice? Like, what
Yeah.
was she like in that regard?
She raised her voice. There's no doubt about that, but, it was like, Pamela Marie, like,
Yeah.
when she was upset, she would call me by that name, not Pam, and again, I was the youngest of 12, and so I also, in hindsight, I think, "My god, she had to chill out over," like, at some point, I often tell people there wasn't a lot that I could do, to surprise my parents because they had been through it with,
Mhm.
one of the others, one way, shape, or form. So, um, but I mean, I knew when she was upset with me. We didn't, much like when you grew up, I don't know that I ever we didn't have like hard arguments and shouting back and forth, but I became stern just like mom became stern, and
Mhm.
I knew when she was upset with me.
Mhm. Yeah. I know the feeling.
Mhm. Yeah, and you too will do that someday with your children.
I'm sure. I'm
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. It will be funny to like, even though parenting has changed throughout the ages, I mean, I do feel like there are some things where, like, yeah, some sort of your growing up and the parenting you received no matter what kinda
Right.
comes out.
Right.
And, I mean, I was thinking about the generations of parenting, how different it is from you to people who are parents now, but
Oh,
then I
sure.
can't even imagine the stark differences between, like, your mom, like, what felt old school, maybe parenting or just old school for you all growing up, and then how archaic or just insane that would feel
Oh,
now.
today. Right. Right.
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah, and then there's just like, the most basic of things, like, we had we didn't wear seatbelts in the car. Like, there weren't it's a it's amazing we all survived, right? It's,
Yeah.
just because over time everything evolves, and mom used to say it too when like, when you were little and Anthony and, we'd have all the gadgets, whether it whatever it was, and she was like, "Oh, it's just amazing that you survived without all these all these things," whether at the time it was the kind of bottles that we used or, like,
Mhm.
just because of course as a parent, first time parent especially, I was like, "Okay, mom, you need to do it like this." And, she's looking at
Mhm.
me like, "Right, I need instruction after
Yeah.
raising 12 of my own," but that's
Yeah.
that's just I mean, from my perspective as a new mom, I wanna make sure she knew, and on the flip side, she's just, rolling her eyes, and rightly
Yeah.
so.
Yeah. When I think of grandma, I think of her as, like, pretty I mean, I would say confident, like, steady,
Mhm.
open, like, flexible, always learning, eager to change or, like, wanting to learn more, but I just feel like confidence in, like, who she was, her abilities and capabilities, things like that. So then I'm hearing you say, like, you were coaching her in some ways of maybe how to take care of me and, like, "Oh, we had all these gadgets," quote, unquote. But do you think she was ever, like I don't know, I don't wanna say, like, self-conscious of what you guys didn't
Or
have at that time, but do you think it ever made her
uh,
rethink anything? Or, like, when she said it's a surprise that you all survived or, like
mhm.
that joke, like, do you think any part of her was like, "Oh my god," like it kind of is, or do you think it was more just, like, joking and just, like, off the cuff?
Yeah, I think it was more joking, I really do. I never sensed from mom any uncertainty,
Mhm,
I mean, and really always she was the pillar of our family, my dad died when I was 16, and so and it was very unexpected. So of course
mhm,
she had to move like kind of move into a mode of that was very different than what she had been, of course, with him around. And so yeah, that's I think forced she knew she had to be strong for the family and I at the same time, I'm sure that there were many times in her life she was very uncertain, but she never let it show.
never. I
Never.
feel like that's all like, most of the women in the family or a lot of actually, I mean, like, everyone in your family, I do
Yeah.
feel like has that sense about them, and it's to me, sometimes I just wanna shake you guys, like, "What are you actually thinking?" Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
"What's actually happening?"
Yeah. We've got a shield. We've all got a shield, but uh, oh shoot. But yeah, it's and the other thing, mom was 42 when she had me, so she was also an older mom, as I like my friends in elementary and high school, mom was my parents were just much older than most of the parents, but it's just for me, it was like that's just the way it was. It wasn't a bad thing.
Mhm.
It was just the way it was. And I didn't dwell on it. Obviously there's what do you do? You can't do anything about it. But then when it's just so interesting because then when I, then jump forward and think, mom, she outlived most of my friends' parents, which
Mhm.
is just really it's just really incredible when I like do this full circle of when, like my friends with mom when we were young, versus how that evolved as adults.
Mhm. Yeah, that is crazy.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hmm.
Crazy.
She did set the stage. I mean, we've always said this, but so many things that she did were just ahead of the curve, like in insane ways, like having a baby at 42. I mean, I know, again, you were the 12th kid and stuff, but
Mhm.
moms now, that's something that it's not cutting edge or anything, but we see more and more moms doing that now. I feel like was very unheard of for, I'm making an assumption here, but for like a woman like your mom to be never having showing that uncertainty,
Mhm.
in her way that she comes off, like, We didn't really have that archetype for woman
Yeah.
until recently either. She
Yeah.
got her colors done, which we always,
Oh,
like, would joke, and now people are back at it, doing again, seeing what colors, like,
yeah.
look good on your skin tone with your hair and what season you are, like,
Yeah. Yeah.
there are so many of these random things that are coming back, and it's like, "Who the hell was she? She's like an enigma."
I know, I know. We used to and I still say it, like, "It's on my wheel," or because we would go shopping and, like, "That's not on my wheel." And when she first got her colors done, she literally would have, like, scarves in her purse, and so that she could she knew what her colors were, and so that's literally how she shopped, which we should
Mhm.
probably all do that, right? I'm pretty
Yeah.
sure these colors aren't on my wheel, but, you know it is what it is, right?
It is what it is.
Yeah.
I going back to the different types of parenting too, I feel like a big type of parenting now, or not a big type of parenting, but we see more and more mom and daughter combos who are like thick as thieves, best of friends, like that sort of thing, which is never something you and I had. Definitely nothing that you and your mom ever had. But I feel like as you got older, did you feel like you kind of maybe had more of those
Oh, yeah.
things, like, more special bonds with your mom, because I feel like that would be really hard as you were young, even though there were maybe only, like, 6 of you, 4 of you in a house at the time,
Yeah.
but especially as maybe your dad passed too, I imagine you and your mom had, like, just a different bond and maybe more of those special sort of, like, I don't know, moments or type of
Mhm.
relationship as you got older.
Yeah. Yeah, I think, so I guess the other thing I'll call out is mom she was a stay-at-home mom, but she had her life, which was in hindsight, I'm like, how in today's world, she set boundaries. So um she played in a bowling league. I think Thursday night was her night to bowl. Like dad bowled on Tuesdays or my mom bowled on Thursday, mom and dad went out every Saturday night. They went out and they got all dressed up and they went out, usually not to dinner, but they went to the American Legion and met up with their friends and they had a core group of friends and they played cards. They'd rotate around whose houses they were, playing cards and such. And if they were at our house, we weren't like amongst it. We were like
Mhm,
they were in the basement and we were upstairs. She had her, that was important for them. And
mhm,
I really respect that. Because you think it's hard to do that. It was hard for us when we just had 2 kids to,
mhm,
carve out time for you because you and I think the difference for me as a parent was I worked full time outside of the home and,
mhm,
so I felt like on, weekends, I felt like I needed this. That was my time. That was our
mhm,
time with kids. And so, it was a little different. Then the other reality of growing up as I did, they had a house in Florida. So they, and then even after dad passed away, mom spent a fair amount of time in Florida, even while I was in high school. She wasn't
mhm,
gone for like 6 months at a time, but she would go for I don't know, 6 weeks, and
mhm,
so it was really different. It was very different than my friends, but I don't have any there's no part of me that felt slighted,
mhm,
and then I would say, then I went to college, and then I would say after I had you, that's when mom and I started to get closer
mhm,
because I think you like you have just a different I can relate differently now as a parent and of course she helped quite a bit when she could. So, then I do think I was much closer to mom later in life. And then as she aged and, really aged, it was really like, wow, it was so cool to sit and talk to her about what she was doing in 1930. It was like, it was amazing. I would say when you
Yeah,
said when you talk about being ahead of her time, she didn't get married until she was, I think,
right.
22 or 24.
Which was
Um,
ancient back
yes,
then.
yes,
Like, her friends, I can't imagine her friends were getting married at, like, 17,
yeah,
16, like,
yeah,
crazy.
yeah. And then she went and her wedding was in New Jersey. So, like I don't think her parents went to the wedding because they couldn't travel there because it was what,
Mhm.
1940 something,
Yeah.
and just like, wow, like, just imagine you live in Collido, Ohio, which is a small farming community, and you go to New Jersey, like, you take
No
the
phones,
train.
no MapQuest. She
Right.
figured out I was in awe when she was telling me, she went to New York, like, New York City. Can you imagine all of that and then it being jarring? But then grandpa then couldn't meet her for a day and, like, sent a
Yeah,
friend to somehow find her, and
yeah,
I'm like, "How in the hell would said friend even find grandma, like, out on the street?"
yeah,
Like,
yeah,
it's crazy. That would
yeah,
send there was, like, this video TikTok trend going around, like, what would send pilgrim children into a coma? That would send city kids in Chicago
yeah,
today, like, into a coma, and probably their parents too,
yeah,
like, the
yeah,
idea of that, because
yeah.
there's no way you can track your kids and what
Yeah.
they're
Yeah.
doing.
Well, and even with today's technology and there are so many people that just wouldn't do that. They're just like, they
Yeah.
would never go to New York City because why would they? That's just a place, in their minds, it's just not a place they'd ever want to go nor even consider. So,
Mhm.
um,
Mhm.
it's really amazing when when I sit and of course I grew up just like most kids, like, oh, whatever, she's my mom, like, this is just my mom. But now it's like, wow, she was awfully brave and just incredibly just open to new experiences, new people, new ways of thinking. Just she
Mhm.
was um just very welcoming.
Yeah. I mean, I do think this exact same things of you, which is crazy. Like ahead of your time in some ways too by being the working mom. Like I'm hearing you say you felt like the weekends kind of had to be like us and you guys couldn't go out. Like, I don't know, I've never really heard that before. But
Yeah.
I get it because yeah, I was thinking too when you were talking about your mom having that life outside of the home and like really making sure that she was out and about and had that social life. I mean, that's what I think about you and your work. Like, I'm so glad that you always did that. It's something
Mhm.
that you're really passionate about, that you care about, but it's like just a huge thing that fulfills you. And it was always, I mean, I know at times I didn't love it and I
Yeah.
could be vocal about it, but it's such a gift to have had you as a working mom and like had the career that you have. And I am like really lucky that you're that example.
Hmm, thanks.
Hmm.
Yeah, it's like anything, right? I feel like there's guilt that goes along with that because you feel like you miss parts of milestones in your children's lives because maybe I was traveling or what have you. But um, but I think that's true regardless of what path you take. That's part of life too. And I
Hmm.
think I do think it's important to learn how to navigate, like, life isn't perfect. It never was, it never will be. And so, um, missing things or being late or whatever that's part of figuring out how to kind of problem solve and navigate life in general. I think those are characteristics that you carry into your future that are very um become very valuable skills
Mm. Mhm.
because
Yeah.
there are many people that many young people whose parents did everything for them, and I just don't think that serves them in the long run because at some point you have to like stand on your own 2 feet and figure things out. And if you've never had to do that until you're 20 some years old, it's going to be incredibly hard to learn at that point.
Yeah, no, confident. Like, that's something that I've learned as I gotten older. Like, sometimes I'm like, "Ugh, I wish someone like my mom or someone could just, like, help me through this or whatever." But then at the end, I realized, "Oh, no, like, I had to do that for myself to either build up
Right.
some confidence or gain those like, all of those different things too." So, like,
Right.
yeah, sometimes it's annoying as hell.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
And I will rephrase what I said earlier. I shouldn't have said I felt like I had to be with you guys on the
no,
weekends. It
I
was
know,
more
I
of I,
wasn't thinking that.
wanted to, because
Yeah.
that was the time. That was our time, right? I unfortunately did work a lot of hours, and so our evenings were pretty, you know, fairly structured, and like by the time you did homework and got dinner and did whatever,
Mhm.
if depending upon what stage of life, whatever practice or whatever we had going on,
Mhm.
the weekends was just a little more, it was just more relaxed, and that's where we were able to just kind of live as opposed to be
Mhm.
on a some calendar or
Yeah.
some schedule.
Yeah. For the listeners, my mom and my dad, they met at work. So they were always like, they've worked together a lot throughout their career. And it was always kind of like fun to see that. Or like, yeah, there were days where Anthony and I, my brother, would just like hang out in their office and meet their colleagues
Mhm.
and play work like in
Yeah,
like with a real computer and things like that.
yeah.
Um, but they also have built this incredible career. They've sold 2 companies that they've worked for, and they're both in leadership roles and have been ever since I was born. I'm not in any sort of, like, big leadership role now, and I can't even imagine having a kid and navigating all of that. I know you said it's not the easiest and there were challenging things, but I guess if there are any people my age, moms out there who, like, didn't have that example or maybe just aren't sure, like, "How the hell do you do this?" Like, it's a lot. What would you tell them? Like, what would you share about your experience?
Oh, I wouldn't. The first thing that comes to mind is you need a good support system. Tim was an incredibly involved dad. It wasn't as though I was expected to do it all.
Mhm,
It was we looked at parenting as a partnership and helped each other out. And we had a nanny, so
mhm,
um that came into the house, and she didn't live with us, but the kids, you had two different primary nannies, one when you were younger, and then when you were 5 or so was when Michelle came came into our family, and she was with you, for the majority of the time. And I couldn't have done it without that. I
mhm,
shouldn't say couldn't have done it, but that was a big factor. I got ready for work, I helped you kids get ready for school and so on, and then I she would come and take over from there. And like you said, there were times she would, if I was running late, she would just drop you off at the office. And thankfully we had an office where there were lots of whiteboards and lots of there was a ping pong table and all kinds of things that you could do while I wrapped up or your dad wrapped up and so on. So you have to be okay asking for help. And funny enough, now because I do like to control things, but you have
yeah,
to, like, at but I had to give some of that up. Like, I can't control everything, and
mhm,
I had to recognize that and be okay with it.
mhm, yeah. It is funny. I'm just thinking about, like, going into your office. I don't know.
Yeah.
I haven't thought about that in a long time.
Yeah. Well, and there was also, then I had, my sister Judy worked in Finley where we lived at the time. And there were times, like if Tim and I were both traveling, that she would spend the night. Didn't happen a lot, but there were a
Mhm,
couple of occasions where she stepped in, and other friends who would step in. So we had an incredible support system. We had neighbors that I knew, would look out and have you kids just go over to the rentals or to the tailors or whatever, if it were for an hour or whatever the case is. And
mhm,
we did that for each other. So between friends and neighbors and family, and then the nanny, like it took, they say it takes a village. It took a village.
Yeah,
But I think that's
yeah,
super, but it's super cool too, because now, even like even with the neighbors, for example, like we now, there's a lot of back and forth about, oh, when the kids were young. And I think back, like, my God, we did a lot. We did a
mhm,
ton with the neighbors. And even holidays we would get together. And so friends and neighbors become extended family.
mhm, yeah, yeah. It is I know a lot of, like, my friends who are starting to have kids and stuff, I mean, just because childcare is really expensive and crazy and just, different ballgame. Like, you even have to I was talking to someone who I was hanging out with this weekend, she runs preschool, and she was talking about how, oh, yeah, people who are, like, before they even get pregnant are reaching out to try to, like, hold a space because you just have to do so much pre-planning if you like the daycare, preschool, whatever it is, and it's just like yeah, it's all of that is a part of the factors now too, and I don't know. I know so now people rely, I feel like, a lot more on their parents, on their siblings, or
Mhm.
things like that, and the idea of, like, having a nanny come in or, like, having your neighbors look after I don't think any of that's out of the picture, but it's just really hard, I think, to
Oh,
grasp because of the environment and everything today.
mhm. Yeah. And I will say, and you talked about a little bit about my career and so on, but there is no stress like the stress of worrying that you don't have someone to watch your kids. Like, or,
Mhm.
like there were we were so fortunate that we had pretty consistent care for you and Anthony while we were working, but um even if it was a day, like it's crazy. That's real stress.
Yeah,
Now,
yeah.
yeah.
Did you always dream of wanting to be like so I don't know, you didn't have the internet. Magazines were kind of a thing, maybe what you saw on TV, but I don't think there was this working mom, huge sort of like thing that you had growing up or any of those models maybe super prevalent or it wasn't
Mhm.
this very popular, I'll say, thing to be as a woman. So did you grow up thinking you'd be a mom and wife? And, like, is that something that you wanted to do, or was it more of, like, what is this working life? Or I don't know, what did you dream of maybe wanting to do when you were little?
I I always I guess I always thought I would work, which
Mhm,
is interesting because mom was always home,
mhm,
but, and it goes way back to dad. I mean, some of that was dad's influence of, um really encouraging us to be independent, and, like, he went so far as to say, like, "Don't ever put yourself in a situation where you're 100% relying on someone else."
mhm,
And that stuck with me, and he said, and, like, "We'll pay for your college education, and what you do with it is up to you," but that was their way of making sure we, had the found in their minds, had the foundation that we needed to do whatever it was that we decided to do with our lives.
mhm,
Whether I never imagined I guess I don't know that. I guess the only recollection I have of, like, wanting to be something was for whatever reason, I used to think I wanted to be an orthopedic surgeon or an orthopedist,
mhm,
and in this weird way, I wanted to be a doctor, but I
mhm.
didn't like all the gruesome parts of being a doctor, so I was like, "Oh, bones and muscles, that seems less gory, right?" And, so, yeah, I didn't end up going going down that path,
Well,
but
and now it's like you see those orthopedic surgeons, they have, like, literally
oh,
power tools, like,
yeah.
powering into your
Well, that
bones, and
yeah.
yeah, you didn't want blood and guts? Well,
Yeah, well, but they're also, and in some cases, they're running a robot that's actually
yeah,
doing, when I think about Tim's knee replacement, it was, yeah, I mean, they y they were doing some of it, right?
mhm,
They had to hammer the new knee back in and, like, get it in place and so on, but for the most part, it was done with a robot, which is that in and of itself is just incredibly amazing. So,
yeah. Well, I wonder too, I've asked you recently, earlier this summer, I asked if you had any siblings that you looked up to, and do you remember your answer?
did I say Judy?
Yeah, you said Judy, and it was because she was like the first woman you knew who was a mom and going to work to
Yep.
some degree, or
Yeah.
like you just once they moved to back from Colorado,
Yes.
then you got to see that more like firsthand, and that
Yeah.
was yeah, you said that that
Yeah.
was inspiring in some
Yeah.
ways.
Oh, yeah, yeah. And again, and much like mom, did it in a way that appeared to have it all together, you know?
Mhm.
Um, Now we all know that none of us have it all together.
I hope
Always.
we know that. I
Yeah,
think we forget,
yeah,
but
we do, you're right, we do forget that, but yeah, it's like I can do that.
Mhm.
I can, um like Judy, in addition to working full time, she was driving 45 minutes each way. She had a commute, 45 minutes to an hour, depending upon where, sometimes at some points she worked in Lima, other points she worked in Findlay. But,
Mm.
you think about that on top of, a full day, work. That's a huge amount of time that you're committed away from home.
Yeah, it is a lot.
Yeah.
Well, then I asked Alicia, because Alicia was there as well. I asked her if she, looked up to anyone, and she said it was you.
Oh my. It's like a
Mhm.
full,
So it's a very
yeah,
full circle, like, all of you
yeah.
guys connected to that, and then honestly, like, I look, like Kaylee in a lot of ways, so it is just, like, really weird how we're really
Like,
intertwined in
yeah,
this sort of, like, I
we're
don't know.
we're all threads of a very beautiful fabric.
Yeah, weaving into each other, weaving in and out of one another.
Yes,
Oh, that
yes.
is like yeah, it's
It's
quite the
true.
alliteration.
Yeah, yeah. The little, kind of the patchwork we call family.
Mhm. Mhm. Yeah,
Wouldn't Anthony be impressed with me bringing in that analogy?
I hope so. Um, okay, well, while I have you too, I wanna ask about your 20s because sometimes I forget that you weren't a mom always, or I
Oh,
don't know what your 20s are like or anything, so if I was your friend and when you were in your 20s, like, what would we be doing? What are we talking about?
oh, wow. We were like, dare I say, I did a lot of I we had a lot of fun in my 20s. Did a lot of partying. Like I mean, literally when I think about my 20s, being in college, and then after college, um, going out, just like we went out a lot. Then I would say when I think about my like early career, before being married, what's interesting is the people I worked with we're still close friends in a lot of
Mhm,
cases, because we traveled for work. We went out after work. We did like I was just talking with one of them the other day about battle of the businesses. We played softball, we played volleyball, we played like all these, and then we, different times a year we were in different leagues, and so we were constantly doing something, and
mhm,
yeah, and just, having a lot of fun. So, like, there's that work group of friends, and then there's friends from school, and, but yeah, in most cases, it was a lot of the
mhm.
same.
Yeah. Yeah, so was it, like, happy hours after work, like, that sort of thing, or, like, what? Like,
Yeah,
outside of the battle of the businesses and things, or
yeah. Yeah, we would just go, and we didn't go out when I was younger, like, I also had this period, like, right after college where when I was working in Lima, that's when I met your dad. That was a lot more like happy hours right after work, and that's when I played in a softball league with people from work and such, and then as we got a little bit older, and we didn't do as many, like, during the week, but our weekend plans included other lots of other people from work because that became
mhm,
our core friend group.
mhm. Hmm,
So whether, and we would do, you know, whatever, somebody would have a party at their house, like a dinner or whatever, and we'd all just
mhm.
hang out. And then as people had kids, the kids would it was kid friendly too, and
Yeah.
everybody sort of grew up together. I mean, you know that after we had you and Anthony, there are some other coworkers whose kids you got to know. They weren't your
Mhm.
age, but, you knew them through just hanging out. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I do remember going to some of the softball leagues or, like, the volleyball games and stuff
Yeah.
like that too, that you guys would keep up with, but
And how weird was that? Like, that's my
yeah.
mom and dad. I don't know.
Yeah,
Just because
and,
I
but,
never
like, also
obviously, I
how
didn't have that.
Yeah. Well, I have a distinct memory of you guys playing at the volleyball courts across from the pool
Mhm.
there, and I was, like, in the sand, but I know I was, like, in the core, like, I wasn't staying outside of it, so I'm like, "How annoying." Like, how and I know I got, like, "Audrey, stop," or, like, "Get out of the way," sort of thing, but I was just in my own world, playing in the
Yeah.
sand, like,
Yeah.
and I'm like, how annoying."
Yeah, yeah, exactly. No, it was but I mean, whatever. It's just the way like you kinda know to expect that when you bring your whatever 4-year-old to a volleyball match, just
Yeah.
whatever, however old you were, you know? So,
Yeah.
comes with the territory. But
Yeah.
um
Yeah.
but
It
yeah,
is nice that you had all those work friends too, like, that's I know people still have that now, and I think it just depends on the industry or what company you work for, or maybe more
yeah,
geared towards certain ages or, like, more entry-level roles, so then you all start up around the same time and whatnot, but, like, I've never really had that, but I know
yeah,
other of my friends have that, and
yeah,
so it's, like, still a thing, but I just don't, like, know that for
yeah,
myself, really,
yeah.
so it's interesting.
Yeah, and honestly, I hate that for young professionals or early career people simply because so many of my friends and lifelong friends are ones that I met through working and
Mhm,
now working from home you're working virtually and the people you work with in a lot of cases live in other states and so on so you just don't have the just don't have the opportunity to say hey let's go grab a drink after work or get coffee or whatever
mhm,
whatever suits you. So,
mhm. Yeah. It is crazy. I guess too, when I think about like the late 90s, early 2000s, being a working mom, a part of me too, and like meeting friends and stuff. Did you ever feel alienated? Like, did it ever feel like a boys' club or anything? Because I can't imagine being you in that situation.
um, there were many, many times that I was the only female in a room of males, but I will also say I feel, um, I don't, there was one incident that I can recall that I was like you seriously just said that? But beyond that, I never felt, um, while I was the only female in a lot of meetings and so on, I never felt like my voice wasn't heard or that I was any less or, and I don't know, I mean, quite frankly, I could have just been oblivious, right? I been, like, living in my own little world, like, "Look at me go," you know? Um, perhaps that may be happening today. I don't even and I'm just choosing to see it through a different lens, but I never felt, I don't know. I'm not I'm struggling to find the word, but,
Yeah.
and, like, it was a big man's club.
Yeah. Hmm. That's good. I'm glad that you haven't had that experience outside of the one, maybe.
Yeah.
But
Do you want me to share the one?
I mean, if you want to.
Well, I'll share it. It was when, so as you said, your dad and I worked together, and of course, I always kept my maiden name, but well, I was not married at the time, but even after we got married, I kept my maiden name for work because I never wanted our clients or whatever to feel like we were some mom and pop shop, with our business. But anyway,
Well,
I'll
it wasn't just that. You also always said growing up you didn't like you did make it a point when you had explained it to me growing up that like, you didn't want it to seem like you got further ahead just because you and dad
yeah,
were
yeah,
together.
yeah. So we had a client that we'd been working with for a long time and we knew him very well. Like, after, we'd been working with him for several years and I told Bob that we were getting married or that we were engaged and he was an older man and he said, "Oh, sleeping your way to the top." And I mean, I was just like, "Oh, wow. Oh, wow." Like I didn't see that coming and
Mhm.
I didn't quite frankly know how to react to that other than I just was like and there was somebody else in the meeting
Mhm.
and he jumped in before I did to
Oh,
say like,
good.
"Oh my god, that's." that's not even an appropriate comment. And so I didn't feel alone in that moment because I had, somebody else there supporting me, thankfully. But
Mhm.
but I can see the room we were, like the desk we were sitting at and so on. And it was just like, you
I
really
felt the gut punch from
yeah,
that, like,
yeah.
yeah.
And what a like even especially today, like who says that?
Well, back then, like, I'm not shocked. I mean, I
Yeah.
am shocked just because professional, like, that's so unprofessional. Like, you would maybe think that, like, sure, that's one thing, but to say it out loud to be in a professional setting, I
Yeah.
don't know. I mean, I also grew up with 2 very professional parents, so I feel like I I know the lingo, the jargon, how to, like, speak while working with people, and it's not that. That's
Yeah,
not
yeah,
what you
no,
say.
yeah, yeah, you don't sometimes you might think it, but it doesn't need to come across the lips. So,
But that's crazy. I'm glad it
yeah,
was only that once,
yeah,
but that's still shitty. It's enough
yeah,
to, like, sit with you clearly
mhm,
30 years later.
right, right. But thankfully that was it. So, I think so many other people, especially women, right, face some of those challenges every day, day in and day out, and I never felt that.
Mhm. That's good.
It was
But,
just that grandma Connie confidence.
yeah, it was. Unwavered, like,
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
just go.
Yeah, exactly, exactly.
Mm,
So,
I don't know if I have that. I think that skipped me.
you know what's interesting? We obviously within the last year moved to North Carolina and there's a group of friends in the neighborhood and one of them said to me recently, she said, Pam, the first time I met you, you just had so much confidence." And I was like, when I hear this, I'm like, what am I doing or saying? She said, "I could just tell you like it's not that you didn't care what people thought of you, but like it wasn't important for you to make sure everybody knew who you were and things like
Mhm.
that," which is it's a good observation because I really don't care. Like I mean I care,
No, I know what you
but
mean.
at the end
It's
of the
just funny.
day, like if I'm in a I know enough to know that not every person I interact with is going to love me or want to be a great friend with me and vice versa, quite frankly, so um but I was just like it just really hit me when she said it like that, and she said it I mean this in the best way
Yeah,
ever. It wasn't like you were cocky or anything like that. It was just I could just tell, and I thought to the point where to even today, I'm like, "How am I acting?" Like that leaves people with that impression. I don't know what it is. I'm just being me.
it's just you. I know. I mean, I always thought that growing up though too, like, I don't know, even to this day, I'm like, how am I so different? Like,
Yeah,
I don't have that.
yeah.
Like, you
I
just don't get you also, at least for me, like, you don't get worked up about anything. Like, and that's fine, but it's just like, I don't know. I feel like that makes you more confident too, because things don't jar you. Like, you're still very stable, still very, like, consistent, steady, all of those things, even when something's going on that's unforeseen or,
yeah,
whatever, like, you're just, like, I don't know, I think internally, I know you're freaking out, but externally or whatever you
yeah.
say, your demeanor, I think it just, like, it's confident. It's just calm.
Well, and some of that comes with age,
Yeah.
experience, right?
Mhm.
So,
Mhm.
it'll
You know
come.
who you are. But I
Yeah,
think that's a lot of grandma too. Like, I don't know, the more and more that I hear you how you process things or think through different things too, it's more of just you put your value and weight into different categories and you don't let your like validation or like other worthiness worthiness things come from others. I feel like
right.
you really make sure it comes from internally and it's not
Mhm,
based on like I don't know, your environment or surroundings or other people.
mhm. That's that's right. It's
Mhm.
gotta come from within.
So that's a big confidence booster too.
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah. If you were your 30-year-old self,
Mm.
Or like you knowing what you know now, who you are now, what life has gotten into, what would you tell your 30-year-old self?
Um, not to I used to get very, there's so many things from a parenting perspective, like, I did overreact to stupid things with when you were little, and now it's just like, "That was so stupid." Like, why did I care that you looked all put together to go to the grocery store? Or, like, I most of it, I think about, like, I felt like I don't know, I was a bit of an, I don't know, I was over concerned about things that really don't matter. Like,
Mm,
whatever, if you wanna
mhm,
wear a mismatched outfit, like, I don't feel like I let you kids, you and Anthony, be your real true selves as little children. It was more of me, my impression of what I thought you should be. And
mhm,
so if I had it to do over again, I would, like, let that go. Like, I don't know why I was like that,
mhm.
but let that shit go.
Yeah, that made me tear up a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know, I can't change it, but
No.
at the end of the day, I recognize that there's some real moments of that wasn't a
And I know what came to mind.
what.
It's not even it's like the silliest example, but I remember in all of my soccer pictures when I was in Little Kickers, my shirt was tucked in. I was Little Miss Professional 5-year-old Audrey with my, yes, very, like, put together hairstyle,
Yeah.
my shirt tucked in, and I was always pissed you guys made me tuck in my shirt. I
Oh,
thought it was
yeah.
crazy. I was the only like, imagine a little 4-year-old running around. Everyone else is in, like, dirty shirts and,
Yeah.
like,
Oh, I believe it.
and
Yeah.
mine was tucked in, put together. It was just funny.
Yeah.
So that's what I
That
thought
was
of
your
my
dad. That was your dad.
oh, it was
But
funny. But,
yeah,
like, in the team photo of all of us together,
yeah.
like, I felt like
When I think of your soccer pictures, I just remember those wooden feet they
yeah.
put on the ground, and you had to put your feet right
Mhm.
on each of them.
And you can
So
see him in the
I
photo, which
know.
is it's, like, so stupid, it's so funny. Like, angle the camera so you
Yeah,
wouldn't see that shit.
exactly, exactly.
Or don't
Like,
make them bright yellow, maybe
yeah,
make them, like, a weirder shade of green.
yeah,
Like
exactly. So, too funny, too funny.
yeah, that is funny. I'm trying to think if I had any other, like, burning questions for I guess my one last question, did you ever think your career would take you to where you are now? Like, did you ever think when you were 30, when you were 40, maybe even when you were 50 that you'd be where you are now?
No, never. And I often say, like, of course, it's a different time now, but so many young people, I think I hear them plan their career. Like, I'm going to do this for, I'm going to go to college, and then I'm going to be this for 2 years, and then I'm going to take this career path planned out. And um yeah, no, that wasn't me. I was like, literally, I got a degree in healthcare administration. I wanted to be a hospital administrator, and then I did an internship my last semester as a senior, and I was like, "This isn't anything I thought it would be." And I was like, "There's no way I can do this," and or want to do this, I should say. And so then all of us that are in recruiting happen into recruiting, and the rest is history. And I literally just, I think about, I often just said, "Yeah, yes." And I actually had this conversation at work with somebody, in a couple of different people last week. It's like, sell the deal, we'll figure it out. Like, we had a lot of confidence in what we could do, and we just did it. We worked hard, we figured it out, we're smart people. And, from a career perspective, it's like, "Oh, we need somebody to do that or play that role. Sure, I'll try it." I never the good I mean, I think maybe the difference for me is, and apparently this goes back to the confidence. At no point really in my career did I feel like, if I suck at this, like, I could lose my job. I never, like, that never really crossed my mind. I was just like, "Yeah, sure, I'll try that." I'll go, "Yeah, I'll do that." And I mean, even It's so true, and here I am, like, so that served me well, and I do try to tell people, you've heard this, like, sometimes you just have to try things that are different because you don't know what you don't know,
Mhm,
and it worked incredibly well for me, and I wish more people today would be a little less structured and a little more like, "Bring it on." I work in a world of, like, titling and, this, like, I'm in a role for X number of time, I should be a senior level at this, and it there I feel sometimes there's more focus on job titles than there is experience, and the reality is experience is what's gonna get you to this next level, like, and when I say experience, I mean, like, really doing the work. You
mhm,
really do the work, and then you can take the next step and do the next level work and so on, kind of regardless of what your title is. And I
mhm.
just wish, um, and I say that only because that was my experience. Like, I could have cared
Yeah.
less what my title was ever, and it was more about the work I was doing. So in my dream world, people would care less about their titles and more about what they're doing and how they're contributing, and really seeing the impact that has, whether it's on other individuals or an organization or a client, whatever it is.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah. No, I know what you mean, but I guess I'm thinking too, like, I don't know, so many people have been slighted, especially in the environment we are now. There's not a ton of opportunity for growth and like movement. And even to like, honestly, in my job now, I give so much kudos to the managers that we have who put our people in rooms where they're helping to build things, or maybe they're not a contributor in the meeting, but they're just able to listen. Like,
Mhm.
that doesn't even happen anymore, where I feel like that was very much when you were in your career, like, you were always included in those rooms. You had the opportunity to be like, "Yeah, let's try it." Whereas, like, I don't think I don't see many people getting that opportunity as much anymore. So I do think the thing then, like, title matters to is either get that exposure, but also like, build up that career, and I do think because of all the transparency of, like, bigger organizations now too, those titles and things, like, it does matter a little bit more to either get you in those like I said, get you in those rooms, give you a certain, like, pay or, like,
Mhm.
compensation, some sort of that, um, but I think, like, in bigger corporate America and, like, in some different sectors and different industries, that, like, title and structure and org chart and things is, like,
Sure.
way more top of mind and prevalent for people, whereas I don't know if in our industry, like, that's as much of a thing,
Yeah.
so just kind of
Yeah.
thinking bigger picture, like, at least that's what I see now and the difference is,
Yeah.
and I don't know,
Yeah.
not to, like,
Well, and size of organization makes a big difference too. Like, you
yeah.
can't, like, I'm not suggesting there not be title structures and things like
No, I
that,
know.
but um it's just sometimes sometimes you just have to give to get.
Mhm. Yeah, fair, and I do think we are, like again, I, like, know more of the why behind it, but we are very much like, "Well, once my title's that,
Yeah.
I'll do it."
Yeah.
Like
Yeah. Right. Right. Yeah.
which, give or take, sometimes that's good, sometimes that's maybe not so good, but
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah. Yeah. Well, since you hinted at it already, I mean, let's just get into it. If your head's in the clouds, you're daydreaming about life in any way about or your current reality, like what would be different if it was Pam's world?
Well, in Pam's world, menus just appear for every day. I don't There's no decisions around what to make. So menus are served up, and then all the food that's required for such, whatever the menu is it's just in your pantry and your refrigerator. And
So you're
so
still cooking it or it
I'm
gets
still
made for
I'm
you?
still cooking. I don't mind
Mm.
cooking. I'm so done with decisions, like what's for dinner, and then, like, oh, this sounds good, but oh gosh, I don't have that ingredient,
Mhm.
like all of it. So if it could just happen, if it could just, like, every morning, or maybe it could be done by the week, whatever. Like every
Mhm.
Sunday I get this message that says, "This week, this is what you're having for meals,"
Based
and
off of last week's craving, like, that's what I'm thinking too. Because then I'm like, "Oh," like, HelloFresh, you could kinda do that, but,
yeah.
yeah, it's like,
Well, but
no, based off
even
of, like, last week's cravings or based on this, I think you would have that. That would be
yeah.
s insane, that would be
Yeah,
sick.
yeah. Well, and even with HelloFresh, you have to make the decision as to what you order. I know that
Yeah.
sounds lame, right? But like, and maybe it starts with a mix. Like maybe 4 days a week, it serves up 4 days, and then you make decisions on the other three, or
Mm,
whatever the case is. But damn, that would be amazing. It'd be amazing.
it would be. That sounds nice.
Yeah. So if you could make that happen, that'd be great.
Yeah. I'll put it out there, we'll see
Yeah.
what happens after
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. Somebody's going to listen to this podcast, and there's going to be a service that and it is a HelloFresh like, but it's taking that a step further.
Yeah. Yeah. I love
Now,
that,
I
that's a great
and I
idea.
say that, and it's like I do think there is an option with HelloFresh where they just send you whatever. Like you don't
Hmm.
you just tell them I need 4 meals for 2 people this week, and they send you whatever. But I don't have that much um confidence. I
Mm.
Oh Lord.
It's
And I understand in my dream, it just shows up. But when you're having food delivered like that, there's a finite number of ingredients
mm,
that,
mm,
are gonna
yeah.
right? Like, that are gonna survive from
Mhm.
warehouse getting shipped to a warehouse, packed, shipped, da, 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 all the things. And so
Mhm.
it seems it does get repetitive as well.
Mhm.
So,
Yeah, that's true. Or
yeah,
just, yeah, they don't make everything either,
right.
so,
Right. Exactly. Yeah,
hmm,
I love seafood, and they don't have a lot of seafood options, things like
mhm,
that.
mhm. That would be good. I like that. Is there anything else in your dream world? Anything else you got
Oh, what
dreaming up over
else?
there?
What else am I dreaming up? As I'm looking around, I don't know.
There doesn't have to be.
I know that, but I felt like that was a breakthrough dream
No,
world.
that's I mean, like Kaylee's last week, the fries instead of bread
Yes,
baskets,
yes.
that was
Oh, and
revolutionary.
she took it to another level, like in fries with an Italian restaurant with Parmesan cheese and truffle oil or whatever I forget what exactly her,
So good with some parsley on top
example.
and then aioli on the side,
Oh,
like, yeah,
yeah.
and then the taco seasoning on fries with queso, like,
Oh, yeah. Yeah,
so good.
we could start that. We can make that a thing.
Like we said on Sylvia's World, our family can just whip up some
Yeah,
good ideas, and it sounds like we have a lot of food ideas right
yeah,
now. We really
yeah.
wanna revolutionize the food
Maybe we go
industry.
back to somebody has a food truck, and
Yeah.
it's a fry truck.
Mhm. That'd be good. Hmm. In my dream world, I will say I love when I wake up on it was similar to this morning where throughout the week it was in the 80s, maybe a little 90s, and then you just wake up and it was 64 degrees this morning. That's
Mhm.
like the best, sweatpants, sweatshirt, like a light layer can maybe take off the jacket, mid walk or something. But oh, these like crisp mornings, I just wish we had more of them. And I don't know if that means it's warmer and then we just have like this as a morning more frequently, or if we truly have like a real fall again where most mornings are like that consistently. I don't really know if I have a care either way or preference either way, but damn, like my head jolts off the pillow when I see that
Oh, yeah.
it's 65 degrees and I'm motivated to walk extra
Yeah,
those days. Like
I agree.
so, I think, like, these fall, like, mornings, this fall, like, weather, I just love it, and I feel like a lot of people who I talk to, fall is their favorite season, but it's starting to fall behind now with other seasons because
It
fall is
doesn't
just so
happen.
limited anymore. It's
Mhm.
rarely there, so,
Yeah.
yeah,
But that
I
makes
would
you want it more. You
yes.
want what you don't have, right?
Mhm. So, I would say more fall mornings for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good
Mhm.
one. I agree. Yeah, it
Yeah.
gives you I naturally have more energy when it's crisp out
Mhm.
and no humidity or
Yeah. Oh,
low
yeah, no
humidity.
humidity.
Mhm.
Yeah. That doesn't exist for much as me as it exists for you.
I know. It's real.
Mhm. And just, like, more I came back from a lake weekend with a bunch of my college friends, and I don't know. I don't want all of us to live in the same city because I don't think all of us would then be happy that way. I know I've said this before, definitely in recent episodes too, but there is just something so great about all of us being able to come together and have that time, whether it's a weekend, a few days, like a few
Mhm.
hours or something. So I just wish it was maybe more convenient, whether that's more convenient through location or traveling to get there, or maybe it's the timing factor, the calendars, like aligning schedule. Just I wish sometimes that's I think one of the harder things about getting older is it's just not as easy to connect with the
Yeah.
friends that you really love, and so I just wish there was more of that somehow too.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree. I agree. Just like and yeah, more slow times, right? Where you're
Yeah.
just like you get up and you sit around and have a cup of coffee and then you make breakfast and you're just it's a very casual start to the day versus like, oh, today I've got to do these 7 things and so I need to be out of the house by whatever time to make sure I have time to do them all and so
Yeah. Yeah, that's something that I wish it was actually a small one of mine recently that I wasn't on, like, other people's schedules, and I just did it kind of on my own time, and I do feel like it's these weekends where yeah, it's chill. I have the coffee, I do a walk with friends, or, like, we're just gabbing while we're making
mhm.
breakfast, like, that sort of thing, and it is very slow. Like, I was barely on my phone this weekend, like, it was just very
Mhm.
present, slow, all of that.
Yeah.
So when you have those types of mornings too, it's just even better. Maybe your whole day can't be like that, but
Yeah.
yeah, it's just extra
Yeah.
nice, and you're
Mhm.
kind of just on your own time, doing what you want when you want. No urgency.
Yeah.
Big fan.
Yeah.
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 Well, unfortunately, that is not our everyday.
No,
So to
it's not.
ease that, and to maybe like brighten up the real reality that we have, do you have a small win that you want to celebrate that you recently had or want to pat yourself on the back
Um,
for?
well, this is gonna sound ridiculous to anybody listening, but, I did make a decision yesterday about furniture, for our new little sunroom or whatever. Um, I've noticed some, tendency of late to like, I know what I want. But I procrastinate, actually
Mm,
just pulling the trigger. So I identified the sofa that we wanted, and but wanted to sit in it and so on, and that required that I drive to Raleigh to do that. So while I was there, it's like, well, I ended up buying 2 chairs and then the coffee table and the side like, so, like, I just bought it all. I
mhm,
just made a decision like, "Yep, this is gonna be great. Let's do it." Instead of, "Well, we'll get the sofa now, and then I'll make sure I wanna make sure Tim's okay with this with the chairs and this and that," and when the reality is he generally is.
yeah,
So, anyway, so, yeah, I just did it, and it feels good to just like say, okay, it's going to come in 4 weeks or whenever it's going to be delivered. So,
mhm. And I imagine yeah, it's nice just to have that all off of your mental to-do list and
hmm
just like, "Yeah, I did it. It's done. Don't have to worry about it. Go from
right,
there."
right. Yeah, I just wish I would have done it a month ago so that it would
Yeah.
it would have been delivered and ready for when we have guests coming for Labor Day weekend. But that's okay. Life isn't
Can't win 'em all.
perfect, right?
Yeah,
And it's
yeah.
family. They know that you can't just snap your fingers and everything's done.
The genie.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
love that. Congrats. That is a
yeah,
good win. Proud
yeah.
of you for doing that.
Thanks. Feels
Mhm.
good.
Good.
Yeah. How about
My
you?
small win My small win is, I think it would be going to Pilates. I haven't been to a Pilates class since my birthday, which was in April, for a few factors, but I know that my body just kind of needed it. And I
Mhm.
went, I think it was last week, maybe 2 weeks ago, and it was great. It felt really good. I am trying to like get back on trying to figure out the class for this week that I want to go to and stuff. So motivated me to keep it in a routine because I
Yeah.
just noticed how much better I feel after I do it and like all of that. So yeah, prioritizing what feels good and making that have more value than maybe like, I don't know, whatever other excuse I might have been
Yeah.
trying to find
It
not to
is
go.
it is strange how we know what makes us like I'll talk about like walking in the morning and I know when I walk I'm in a better mood, I feel better, I have more all the things, but it's so damn easy to just say, "Oh, I'm not gonna walk today because I wanna sleep another 30 minutes," or whatever.
Mhm.
And it's like, it's so stupid because
Yes.
we know it, but
Mhm.
we still choose to do something different.
Yeah. I have to play some, like, mind games with myself sometimes to do these sorts of things, and yeah, it is, like, to your point, so silly because I know that I don't have to do the mind games. I know I'll feel good after doing
Yeah,
it, like, why is it all this hype and, like, work up for to
yeah,
motivate myself to do that?
yeah, yeah. So, you're human.
Yeah.
We're all human, right?
We are. We are. So that's a small one. This
Yeah.
whole time I've been thinking you and I have the exact same background. It's not obviously the exact same, but I have,
Plant.
well, I have a plant. We have a picture. I have, you can't see it, it's out of the frame, but I have my little animated guy and you have your Lego thing.
Yeah, my Lego Vespa. So,
Like we
that's
have the exact same things,
you are
just
my
in our
child.
own styles. Yeah.
Yeah, you are my child. So,
Surprise!
yeah,
I'm your child.
it shows up once in a while.
You don't think I have any, like,
Oh my god,
looming
no.
characteristics of you?
Oh, I think you're very much like me in a lot of ways, but you don't you always I think you associate yourself more, maybe I'm wrong, but I believe you think you have more tendencies from your dad's side of the family than mine.
I do. I think my personality is a lot like dad, but I think my mannerisms and, like, my I would say my professionalism and, like, how I come off, like, in a lot of different ways, I think is like you.
Mhm.
But, yeah, a lot of my mannerisms I know come from you too.
Mhm. I yeah.
It did
I
take me a very long time to see how you and I looked alike, even though people thought that we, like, looked like twins a lot.
Mhm.
That
More
one was
yeah.
really hard for me for a while to, like, I know that our eyes are very similar, but other than that, I didn't really know how we looked alike.
Mhm. And I think it's hard to see. Hard to see yourself in someone. Same thing with my mom, but now as I age and I think about my mom when she was my age, I'm like, "Oh, exact there she is."
Mhm. Mhm.
So,
What else do you think is like me? Or, like, what have you noticed is like you and me?
oh, I think like you're very much a planner and very,
Mm.
controlling to a certain degree. Just those types of things. You have an
Yeah.
opinion,
Yeah. Mhm.
and that's okay. That's good.
Yeah.
Wouldn't have it
Yeah.
any other way.
No. It was funny. I wasn't sure what you would say for me, though.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah.
I love
So,
it. Well, thanks for being a guest, Mom.
of course, I
Thanks for
always,
supporting me.
always, always.
And that's my mom. Ugh. Probably one of my favorite episodes just because it was great to learn a little bit more about her, hear these different sides of her that I don't always think of because, sometimes she's my mom. But as I get older, like she mentioned, learning more and more about her. She's pretty cool. She's badass. She's brave. She's this like light. She's driven. She's motivating. I don't, I don't know. So many things that I can't even like put into words. But she's great. She's a great example. I loved having a mom who like was passionate about the things that she did, and my life definitely didn't look like my friend's his life. But I think for the best reasons. I love that she, continued to do what she loved, and it was something that propelled her forward, and it's been just a really great example to have that. And I do feel like in a lot of ways similar to her own mom, she's was ahead of the curve in a lot of ways, not only for working moms, but even in the industry that she's in. She was always very ahead of things, kind of a trendsetter, looking ahead, and just a great business mind. And like, it's just so cool to see that and to have that growing up. Very lucky in a lot of ways. So I hope you heard that too throughout the episode. If you know my mom, I'm sure maybe you learned a thing or two about her as well throughout the episode. And so hopefully that's something that you enjoyed as well too. But Mom, special shout out to you. Thank you for all that you do, for all that you've done, and all that you'll continue to do for me. But thank you for supporting me and being a guest on the podcast. You're the best. And for today's Dream World, as promised, if you all want to write in and share your dream world, you can email OddreysWorld@gmail.com to share those, or whenever I post on social media and ask for that, share your comments there and you'll be on an upcoming episode. So this week, Caitlin wrote in. Caitlin's dream world, she wishes that there were puppies everywhere all the time. So on street corners, you could just go up and have little kind of like petting dog areas and get to see a bunch of different dogs and hang out with them. That there was a great coffee guaranteed every single morning, that everyone was kinder to each other and more accepting, and that everyone would get to travel to have pasta in Italy. So Caitlin, thank you so much for sharing your dream world. Honestly, that does sound really dreamy. I feel like you're giving a very like Italian summer in some ways with the great coffee and the pasta. Like that would be great. And then add in some puppies everywhere. Like, yeah, it's giving Italy. It's giving an Italian summer. And I love that for you. And I would love that dream world as well, too. So ciao. Ciao. See me there. So if you too want to hear your dream world, just write in and it will be shared on an upcoming episode. If you're liking the podcast, well, thank you so much. It genuinely means a lot to me that you're enjoying it and that you take the time out to listen, to tell your friends, to talk about it, to ask me about it even. So thank you for doing that. If you want to continue to support even more, you can like, rate, review, subscribe, follow wherever you listen. So thank you for tuning in. I'll see you again next week. Love ya. Bye.